12 companies own 550 plus consumer brands.
I saw the Phoenix Lights.
What?
Hey, Segovia, back with another one. Make sure you guys watch from start to finish. That really helps the channel grow. And let's get this video to 5,000 likes. Hit that thumbs up. Let's go and get into it.
He's covering it up. He fought us the entire time. He did everything in his power to stop the Epstein files to be released. He even forced Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, to do everything he could do to stop it from being released. It was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. We were even shut down for 8 weeks. We had a government shutdown back in the fall of 2025 for 8 weeks. And I believe that was part of trying to prevent the Epstein files from coming out. The only time I reached out to him was via text message after I had resigned and he had been attacking me, and I was receiving it in just, I can't even count how many death threats. And but the death threats escalated on one of my children, and I had sent those death threats to the FBI director, Kash Patel. I sent them to the Vice President, J.D. Vance, Susie Wiles, James Blair, and I even texted the president. And I was so upset over death threats on my children because of him. And the quotes and the death threat were from what the president had been calling me a traitor. And I'm not a traitor to my country. Standing up for rape victims doesn't make me a traitor. And I reached out to the president and to let him know this is what's happening because what you're saying about me. And he was very unkind about these death threats. And so that was our last exchange.
What did he say to
you? He basically blamed me. He had no compassion for death threats on my children. He blamed me basically that if my son were to get killed, it would be my fault.
Good guy.
What you're looking at right here is extremely high-end makeup. Some Sephora stuff that you guys are always putting on your face. Chemical sludge. This is how it's made. You guys have no idea what it's doing to your body. I want you to listen to this video right here.
One of the biggest cosmetic brands, designer cosmetic brands in the world, their ex-formulator had contacted us. He said, quote unquote, the cosmetic industry is destroying women's cells. C-E-L-L-S, cells. And I said to him, why don't you say something? He said, I can't.
This cosmetics issue is even bigger than the tobacco industry because we're talking about thousands of different chemicals.
The same chemicals being dumped and running through the rivers that are toxic are running through our blood.
For some of these chemicals, millions of children will be harmed before we actually decide whether it's toxic or not.
Skincare, hair, feminine care products have been associated with reproductive problems. Ovarian cancer, preterm birth, mercury poisoning,
Population control.
disruption.
Take a look at this image. 12 companies own 550 plus consumer brands. The game is rigged, and this image is just one piece of the puzzle.
This is why I say I don't know if it'll ever go back down. Like this has happened before when inflation was through the roof, the interest rate was through the roof. But back in the 70s, 80s, was there, what do you say, 5 companies owning 5,000 brands or 500 brands? Was it like that back then? Because I know there was one grocery store on the corner. You know, there was your local hardware store. You know, there wasn't a lot out there, y'all. There wasn't strip malls all up and down with all these products. So that's why I'm nervous that is it ever going to come down? Because these one company owns all these things that are in our store, and they're all about profit and greed.
Human brain. And spinal cord. And it would be positioned in my head like this. Front of the brain, back of the brain, coming down, hanging down as the spinal cord. And these are the nerves that are actually going to go down into your lower extremity. So all the information that's going to go down into your lower extremity to control your body is controlled, and the sensory information is coming in through those nerve fibers.
Looks like a bunch of wires.
It does. Well, you know, we are quite a well-designed machine in its own way. The difference is we are organic, we are biological. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make as a society is we think ourselves as a machine, push it, push it, push it, push it, push it, push it, push it. Well, you can do that with a computer. You plug it in and it stays on until you turn it off or it blows up. We have to go to sleep. It's okay. We won't hurt it.
Wow.
We hope.
Gosh.
Uh-huh.
Somebody's life.
Beautiful.
Somebody's life right there.
Our design, such a masterpiece. We are
Somebody's good days, somebody's bad days, somebody's mourning, somebody's, stress, somebody's happiness, somebody's, it's just everything in our life is right there. Everything is right there. And we have the power to make it be good or make it be bad. Society wants it to be bad, but at the end of the day, we forget that we have all the control to put what we want in there and have it think what we want it to think. It's a trip, y'all.
This massive conglomeration of 50 trillion molecular geniuses making up our form. Beautiful.
It's so crazy that every single person listening right now has one of these.
Yes.
And it's processing my voice as you're hearing my voice.
That's right.
And it is this, for anyone that has never felt a brain before, which I imagine is most of you, it is like this very, very soft but dense, sort of tofu-y. How would you describe the feeling?
Pork roast.
Pork roast.
Human brain is made up of a substance called myelin. And myelin is made up 100% by cholesterol. I'll leave it there. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, Alzheimer's disease is a neurodegenerative brain disease which destroys brain cells. Now, Alzheimer's never existed until 1979, and yet now it is one of the leading causes of death in Western societies.
Right.
On a separate and completely unrelated subject, margarine was first invented in 1869 because Napoleon wanted a cheaper and longer lasting fat for his armies to travel with. It didn't gain popularity until the Second World War, when butter and other animal fats were scarce. Grew in popularity in the 50s, but by the 70s, the animal fats in it had been replaced with vegetable oils. Because obviously animal fats contain saturated fat and a lot of cholesterol. So they wanted to offer a lower cholesterol alternative. I'll leave it there. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, margarine is one molecule away from being plastic. Now, as any chemist will tell you, one molecule can make a huge difference to the finished compound. Take ethanol and methanol, for example. One molecule difference, but very, very, very different results.
I can't speak for you guys, but I know with me, when my body's using fat for fuel, it is just 10 times happier up there. Dreams start coming. I start reading. I start doing all these little disciplines every day. I start, like I said, dreaming. I start thinking oh, I want to start this business. I want to start this. The mind wakes up when it's off of fat. And when I'm burning off carbs, constantly thinking about food, constantly hungry, up and down with mood, up and down with tiredness.
It's been independently discovered 4 other times. He said it has been suppressed every single fucking time. And he said, I don't think they're going to suppress it this time. He said, I think you're in the clear. He said they obviously know about you because I've had multiple, both protective and threatening interactions with various agency affiliations, whatever. He was like, if you haven't had a US government agent come to you and say, stop, shut the fuck up, stop, shut the fuck up. If that hasn't happened, they're going to let you do it. They're waiting. There are SSP motherfuckers that are fucking twiddling their thumbs. Like, is Amy not going to publish soon? Gah, we've been influencing this bitch forever. Doesn't she know we want her to publish? Jesus. Like, there's multiple people doing that right now. And on the other side of the fence, there's multiple parties looking at each other like, didn't we tell this bitch 3 years ago that we kill people for this? Is she not listening? What is she doing? She's still doing it? What? We told her we were going to kill her 3 years ago. So I have these two different scenarios floating constantly in my life where I have people being like, do it, do it, do it. You're the one, do it. And then I have multiple people being like, they're going to kill you. Don't do it. They're going to kill you.
Best loophole of all time was that confession bullshit.
I think they did that just to get information on people in the town, find out what they were doing. Like, hey, God says it's okay. You still go to heaven. You gotta tell the priest. And the priest, like, immediately went and told the mayor.
Informant.
100%. How else would you get people to tell all the dirty shit that they're doing? That's the way you get them.
$1,000 a piece to do that movie. Actors are struggling.
I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
Garages, bro.
I'm just tired.
I made $1,000 for doing Hustle and Flow.
The math ain't mathing.
50 was talking about that he lent you money. It was absolutely given.
I need that paper.
The money. I've never made what I should have made.
I got nothing. It's all about money. The business don't pay actors anything.
I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
After 30 years in this business.
I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades, and still, with 2 Oscar nominations, been in many big blockbuster films.
He was in Black Adam, Shazam, The King's Man, A
Never
Quiet
Back
Place
Down.
2, Charlie's Angels, Aquaman, Push, Never Back Down, Blood Diamond, Constantine, Soul Food, the TV series, Fast and Furious 7, Deep Rising, Amistad.
And yet I'm still struggling financially to make a living. I'm definitely underpaid.
Friday. The movie cost $2 million. $2 million. We got paid $5,000 a piece to do that movie. The movie go $300 million, and they're not going to come back and say we made a lot of money. Going to give you all the bonus. That ain't some bullshit. That don't happen in Hollywood. Okay, so you made $5,000. $5,000. Everybody else on the show, they're gonna say they made more money. Anybody made no money on that movie. I had to pay my rent. I didn't give a damn what it was. It was $5,000. I had $5,000. I had to pay my rent. That rent was $130 some dollars. I paid about $3. See, I just paid my rent 6 months ahead. Okay. So if I'm broke, I still can have a place to eat.
Breaking. There's a famous quote. They'll make you famous while you make them rich. And some people, they just want to be famous. I think they went into it thinking they're going to be famous and rich, but you can't have both. They'll make you famous while you make them rich.
This morning that Europe, listen to this, how crazy this is. Europe will run out of jet fuel in 6 weeks. That would lead to an economic calamity that will ripple across the entire planet. How in the world do we negotiate something like this? How do we get out of something like this? Well, I know one man who has some answers. That's Dr. Richard Wolff. Professor Wolff is host of the Economic Update. He's director of Democracy at Work. To have you. And I always enjoy it so much, not just because you're from Youngstown, Ohio, but because you speak in plain English and Americans can understand you. Good to have you back.
Thank you very much, John. You're generous, and I appreciate your kind words.
Thank you very much for joining us. I want to start with this craziness from the Associated Press that Europe will be out of jet fuel in 6 weeks.
What is this? Saw that. I was like, oh, that's a
I will
thumbnail.
never underestimate the power of the human mind again after hearing about the Harvard housekeeper study. In 2007, a Harvard psychologist took hotel housekeepers and split them up into 2 groups. The first group was told that the activities they did every single day, vacuuming, making the bed, all exceeded the Surgeon General's recommendation for exercise. The second group was told absolutely nothing. The crazy part was 4 weeks later, the first group had lost weight, lowered their blood pressure, and had lower body fat percentage, all just by believing they were doing exercise.
Maybe this will blow your mind a little bit more.
Blow it away. Pause.
So, not one single U.S. president has sent their kids to a public school. And
that doesn't surprise me.
This might blow your mind a little bit more. Horace Mann, the guy that created this whole system, right? Homeschooled his kids.
God damn it.
He had 3 sons.
God damn it.
He homeschooled them. So you're 100% spot on. It's an elitist system. It was built by the elites, and they didn't even send their kids to it. Let that sink in. We all went through a system that they themselves created, and they didn't even send their kids through it.
Same
So
with iPhones,
it shows. I mean, we were viewed as like cattle. You know, it's like, let's just create consumers. Let's create people that are going to just obey and follow orders. And I think that's why everybody's having this crisis of meaning right now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what does this all mean? We're just consuming things? And it's like, no, hey, no, that's not how God intended it to be. You know, it's just how the system was captured.
You study a lot of history. I like that. That's how you learn things, but it is, you know, and I try to, I'm an optimist, and I also try to be like, let's pull it back to equilibrium and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see the patterns as they are right now across every level of society, I don't need to list them all off. You know what I'm talking about. We're hitting on one of them today, but if this does not change at some point and people continue to fall in the spread of the wealth gap and meaninglessness, you will have a French Revolution moment.
Big time.
People think that, that can't happen in fucking 2020. Bitch, they were fucking burning cities 5 years ago because they were bored for 3 months on the couch. You know what I mean? And that wouldn't be good for anybody.
We could rug the system pretty easily, actually. It's just we've all been kind of pitted against each other.
Yes.
It's all of us are paying taxes. If we all stopped paying taxes, they would have no money.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reality. This is why, in my opinion, this is why they don't teach kids about taxes. If they taught us about the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 and how all of this was all created, and they said, oh yeah, actually before 1913, your ancestors, they weren't doing any of this stupid shit, right? If they taught us that stuff in school, we would be like, oh, this is insane. We're not doing it. That's why they don't teach it, right? That's my whole thing is everybody focuses on, okay, there's all these crazy things they're teaching kids. Yes. What are the things they're not teaching us? Right? They're not teaching us what happened leading into the American Revolution, where they're not teaching us that the founding fathers were in their 20s and 30s and got together and were like, nope, sorry.
Fucking ripping hemp and writing out the greatest documents of all time.
Exactly. Sacred geometry, and they were just tapped in. So yeah, on a positive note, I do feel like I'm on one side, I'm like, I don't want to push for a revolution.
Did you know that a lot of people watching don't know this? Did you know if you go to the hospital, right, and they take a scan of your body, that they actually cut your aura on the outside of your body so you don't see it? Right? Did you know the hospital did that?
That's why they keep the hospitals cold. They keep hospitals cold for that exact same reason.
Right. They don't want us to know. They don't want you to know that you got an aura outside your body.
They don't want us to know.
Why do they keep that away from people?
If people knew they could heal their self, Big Pharma would collapse overnight. That's trillions of dollars gone. That's just a fact.
That's just a fact. And these companies don't even care about your health. They care about cashing in on the money.
For sure.
Right.
That's why they do certain things.
Right.
Johnson & Johnson got sued for giving you suntan lotion that gave you cancer.
Right.
The company that owned them made the cancer treatment medication.
Right. How could 60,000 people go one place and get HIV 1 and 2?
Number 2. Any nurses out there, let me know that work at the hospital. Let me know down below. I got a question for you guys. Now, when we had our first kid, Mama Bear was working, right? She had good insurance. She worked for the government. She was in the immigration court, right? There 20 years, had great insurance, right? I'm telling you, the service we got at this hospital was immaculate. Nurses wouldn't stop coming in. Nurses were in there 24/7 when we were there. Y'all checking vitals, changing the baby, make sure our food's good, checking on my lady, checking her C-section, like just nonstop in there. This last time, I had to buy our own insurance, right? For them. I had to get them insured, right? And it was good. It's good. I'm guessing it's good. Blue Cross Blue Shield, you know what I mean? We switched insurance recently, but anyways, this service we got at the hospital was terrible. I had to go ask the nurse, like, "Can you guys come in here and, like, give us some stuff, we need water. Can you bring my girl some water, some ice chips?" Like, they would never come in. I had to go out and ask them, like, "Hey, are you guys gonna come in and, like, check her out and make sure she's good, make sure her bleeding and all that?" Because I remember, because it was just a year ago, right? It wasn't 10 years ago, so I already forgot what this service was like. Like, I remember, and I don't know if it's an insurance thing. I don't know if maybe we just got bad nurses this time around, because our first nurses were great. I told them, like, "You guys are a blessing." I never realized how great nurses are, but man, like, I said thank you to them that last time. Like, "You guys are awesome." But this time, like, the service was so bad. I don't know if it was just a nurse thing we got, or I don't know if it's the insurance thing. Anyone that works at the hospital, give me some insight. Like, what is it? What is it? Is it just that we just got a bad batch of nurses on the shift that those 2 days we were there? Let me know.
Is Mr. Chuck Berry with my ding-a-ling, and don't forget that his ding-a-ling is a bell what he holds at the start of the film. Don't get the wrong idea. I've got my mouse-type bleeding post here. Boo. Very nervous she is when I go. Boo. Very nervous. Right, what do we have now, ladies and gentlemen? Papa's Rolling Stone, Temptation.
Well, hey, I happen to be in a girl cave at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. It's a girl cave. Now then, how about this?
See, with videos like this, people who are around at this time within the industry, you cannot tell me they did not know what this man was about, especially the ones closest to him. This was the king of this country's marriage counselor. This guy was made a servant. If that doesn't tell you the level of darkness that surrounds the elite of this country, then I don't know what. But as always, if you've got friends in high place, you have a stature of elite power, look what you get away with.
Did you slap Harvey Weinstein?
Oh shit, we went right there. So him and I were in the same circles, and what's crazy with these, like, this Epstein list,
right?
I know a lot of those people personally, like a lot of them, like some were even my partner in a lot of things. And no, I'm true.
No, I believe you.
But, like, you got to look at this, like, from my perspective, like, the shit I'm reading, if it's true, I was literally sitting with, like, vampires and shit, and I ate at tables with them, which is why I'm a vegetarian, because
look at that.
You never know what someone's gonna feed you. And this is the reason why I'm a vegetarian, is because I don't trust people with meat. Pause. I don't know what that shit is, and I always tell people, how are you gonna trust your oppressor to feed you? How are you gonna let a stranger give you something that to put in your body? Pause. You know what I'm saying? And
You can say, like, Dame Dash. I like Dame Dash. Like, he was Jay-Z's, right hand, or Jay-Z was his right hand. Like, Jay-Z got to where he was at because of him, right? And he got blackballed, right? Jay-Z ditched him. He ended up, I don't know, they say he went broke. I don't know, y'all, but that's what happens to the people that see the other side of the curtain and they want to go against it. They get blackballed. Nobody wants to work with them in the industry. People turn their backs on them, and the ones that do turn their backs on them go through the roof. And if you watch mainstream media, Dame Dash is just a bad businessman. Nobody wants to work with him because he's a headache, right? That's what the society tells you about him. But really, I think he saw behind the curtain, and he wanted to go his own route and say, like, we can do this on our own, because there was a secret meeting of these hip hop executives that wanted to start a union, wanted to do all these things. And Jay-Z, and I think he said Jay-Z and P. Diddy went and told, like, the Lear Cohens and all those big dudes, and they shut it down. And all those people are in prison, are dead, are broke like him, can't get on, mainstream podcasts no more. And, Jay-Z and P. Diddy, we saw what happened to them, and we just recently saw what happened with Diddy. Like, they're going to act like they're your best friends because you came and told them, but when they're done with you, they're done with you. You're not really in the club.
The Texas Rangers went to a small town called Port Verde, Texas, got all the young men and all the men. I think the ages were 12 to 80, and tied their hands behind the back and shot them all in the back. And these were all U.S. citizens, had committed no crimes, had done nothing except they were Mexican American. They owned land on this side, and a rich rancher named Bright wanted that land, and basically had them executed on false charges.
This is what happened, y'all.
They committed nothing. And that's where my great-grandfather and my grandfather and my grandmother grew up. Yeah. And there's a mass grave where all the bodies were thrown in. And so that's just one example in Mi Familia, but that happened throughout Texas in the 1900s. So being Tejano to me is standing up, never giving up, and fighting for your familia, fighting for your comunidad, peleando por tu fe, and making a difference here in Texas.
I'm a conspiracy theorist, but you don't have to be one to find this weird. Back in the 1800s and early 1900s, there were hundreds of thousands of orphans being shipped across the United States. And it wasn't just the United States, other countries had massive orphan situations too. Around that same time, you have entire cities burning down, Chicago, Boston, San Francisco. You have thousands of adults being placed into insane asylums. And then you have these massive world fairs with buildings they say were just temporary and then torn down. Now I'm not saying anything crazy, but hypothetically, if someone wanted to reset the world and rewrite history by making sure the past is forgotten, what would that look like? Would it look like burned cities, the adult population being thrown into asylums, and tearing down remnants of the past, and then being left with orphans to repopulate the world and shape the narrative? Maybe it's all just coincidence, or maybe our history is a little more complicated and more weird than we were taught. But I don't know. I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Let me know what you think.
The conspiracy says that the microphone was taken to this place to be converted into like an explosion.
Did you see there was like the facility in Tennessee where they bought the whatever the mic thing was, allegedly that place thing got completely obliterated. 16 people died.
How come you can't find?
The whole thing's bizarre, dude.
That sounds like a CIA operation. A facility on the line of Humphreys and Hickman counties that processes ammunition and explosives. But is this the place that made the microphones?
So the conspiracy says that the microphone was taken to this place to be converted into like an explosion.
See, this is why we perish for lack of knowledge. Anybody know what this is? These are dandelion leaves. Why in the world would I pay for something that grows right outside of my yard? See, they tell you to spray Roundup on it. They tell you it's weeds. They tell you to spray pesticides on it. But it's right there in the grocery section, right here.
I mean, everything in the produce section can be grown in your front yard, and they're selling it to you, right? I mean, I was driving down the street. I had a very bad allergy attack, the other day, and I was just driving down the street, all around the park, all around the streets on the main drags, not in people's yards, but just around where there's young ones, where there's a lot of energy, right? Nothing but pollinated trees all around the park. I'll try to remember and make a video of it, y'all. All around the park, all on the main drag. You go to the grocery stores, all around the parking lots is pollinated trees. And I believe, Allegro or one of those allergy pills did something. We'll try to find a clip on it. I remember seeing it and putting on a video a long time ago that they funded to get rid of the female plant or tree or the male tree, one of those two, because one of them pollinates and the other one doesn't. So, and they paid to have all the trees be pollinated. That way, big pharma, right?
Dandelion leaf, packed with nutrition. More iron, more vitamin C than spinach. Rich in vitamins A, K, C, iron, and magnesium. It's great for detoxing. It's great for the liver. It's just an all-around great plant. They tell you to spray poison on it and then come and buy it in the store. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they really do,
You
right?
want to know how much this motherfucker right here makes?
It's not hating
Makes
on
like
him.
61 or
You don't know how much
$62 an
this
hour. Y'all want to know what his job title is? He's a crane oiler. That's all he fucking does all day.
It's hating
Stand
on
by the
him.
crane. Even though the crane's not moving,
That's funny.
he has to be right there.
You never know who's hating on you.
$61 an hour. That motherfucker don't do shit all fucking day long. Look at him.
Look at him.
That is crazy.
Two of the
That's funny.
astronauts on the
That's
Artemis
funny.
mission are literal actors. You can see that this one was in
Look at
Fallout
him.
and this one was in Mad Max. Why would they hire actors to go to the moon? Isn't that concerning?
If you are awake from the hours of 10 p.m. to
now.
4 a.m. for 2 hours between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. for 2 days per week for 25 days of the year, you qualify as a kind of card-carrying shift worker, and you likely have significant circadian disruption.
Which means that I have...
You are at risk for some of the, and it's not going to happen tomorrow, but if you continue on that pattern that I just described, you are putting yourself at increased risk for cancer and cardiovascular disease, metabolic dysfunction. You can have trouble having children. It impacts fertility, mental health, psychiatric disorders. There isn't a disease or disorder that circadian disruption doesn't touch. We just have to understand that our relationship to light will directly influence the trajectory of our health. There's just no question about that.
Yo! This kid fucking jumped off! Oh my God! Oh, bye-bye! Oh.
Unfortunately,
His
this
friends
was
are
the
saying
last time
bye-bye.
Cameron
It's
Robbins
crazy.
was ever seen alive. Just hours earlier, he had been celebrating his graduation with friends on a trip to the Bahamas, surrounded by music, laughter, and the kind of carefree energy that comes with finishing school. Everything about that night felt normal, like a moment he would remember for the rest of his life. Then in a split second, it all changed. Cameron accepted a dare and climbed over the railing of the boat before jumping into the ocean below.
pressure,
At first,
right?
people around him didn't seem too worried, and a life preserver was quickly thrown into the water as others began shouting for him to swim back. But something didn't feel right. Instead of heading toward the buoy, Cameron suddenly started swimming in the opposite direction, as if he had seen something in the water. In the footage, there's a brief moment where something appears to move nearby, but it's impossible to clearly identify what it is. And then he disappeared. The crew immediately launched emergency procedures, and search teams spent hours scanning the ocean, followed by an extensive multi-day search. But Cameron was
My
never
worst nightmare.
found. To this day, no one can say for certain what happened in those final moments, and that uncertainty is what continues to haunt everyone who has seen that video.
Well, how about Taco Bell? Taco Bell puts essentially sand.
Bro,
No, silicon bicarbonate, I think called silicon. Their beef filling, they're not allowed to call it beef filling. They have to call it taco filling because
it's not beef.
The beef has silicon in it to make it fuller and more, look it up.
36% beef, 64% is made with fillers.
How would you doubt that? But I've seen plenty of interviews that say the same exact thing. But hey, Bill Gates, isn't he brilliant? Guy, what a good guy. He contributes, he pays off. You know what all sick individuals do? They pay people off. Here, I'm a good guy. Ain't I a good guy? I'll pay for your foundation. Foundations, a lot of times, are big write-offs for billionaires. They need to write off a lot of money in taxes. That's what they do. Hey, here's a contribution to your foundation. Tax write-off. Here's a they don't care about the contributions. It's a tax write-off. And then the people that get it, I will never forget this statement. I lived next to a guy that worked for Moderna. Actually, take it away. Moderna, great company. Really. Love what they do. This guy worked for a vaccine company. True story. And when the whole thing was going down, I'll never forget, we stopped in the street and he was all caught up in the news and he asked me if I got vaccinated. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. And he said, why not? I said, there's no need to. He goes, no, and he tried to explain to me what his little scientific friends taught him how to sell the product.
When the apocalypse comes, you think you're going to be eating all these deer and elk and stuff. You're going to be eating squirrel, buddy. Squirrel and birds, maybe a possum every now and then. Yeah. Them deer's going to be gone quick. You go out and try to hunt a coon without a dog, you ain't going to kill a coon. Right. You want to really get your meat from the wild, you got to be able to hunt small game.
Did you know that the first 3 digits of your social security number indicates which state you were born in? Yep, the first 3 numbers of your social will let anyone know what state you were born in. So like if an officer pulled you over and, they asked where you were from and you lied, if they pulled your social, they would know what state you were born in just from the first three digits of your social security number. The second 2 digits of your social indicate, which order your social security number was distributed to you. And the last 4 digits are actually your serial number. So the last 4 digits of your social indicates exactly who you are.
That's why they always ask for the last 4.
But the first 3 digits of your social will tell anyone what state you're from, or at least what state you were born in. So I'm not sure if you guys knew that or not, but yeah, the first 3 digits of your social indicates where exactly you're from.
I've seen this conspiracy and I kind of want to believe in it, bro. But I don't even know what to believe anymore. But I've seen this thing that Clav is low-key like sponsored by Peter Thiel, and like he's a plan to make people think that they need to ascend, like change everything about themselves to ascend, to become more loved by women and other people. And then it goes down the path of like creating an AI chip that's going to be planted in people, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's more of like just it conditions young people's mind to be like, you need to ascend, like you need to like do this, you need to pin these peptides, and then it'll eventually grow into these other things. Like put this AI chip in your brain. Like he's getting donated. Like I don't know how Jeffrey Dahmer.
I think they're all plants, y'all. All these little, like, they're all on each other's podcasts, all hanging out together in LA. That dude, Clav, whatever his name is, are just telling you to treat women like crap, and you be single, you're going to be way happier, don't have kids, you're going to be all this. And then these guys are take steroids, they might not be saying take steroids, but they're famous. They'll make you famous while you make them rich, and they're all roided out. So guess what? The young generation is going to be like, I can't be like this, fitness influencer, in the mid 2000s that was natural and had all these followings. I got to be like this guy that's freaking yoked. And like, it baffles me when I see people like put videos up of like bodybuilding.com on YouTube, and it's like Ronnie Coleman, full day of eating 5,000 calories, and it's got like millions of views. And I'm like, this dude's on steroids, and you guys are over here like watching him, eat all this food. Now look at him. Look, this is what these people are going to turn into. Look at Ronnie Coleman now. He can't even walk. He can't sit down. He's hurting. All these calories he put in his body, and people like, it's like society wants that. It's so annoying what society wants, but I think they're all plants. I really do.
You know who that is?
Yeah. He that man in heaven. If he truly repented and gave his life to Christ, he's in heaven.
Really?
Yes.
After he murdered, cut people's heads open and drugged them and raped them.
Yes.
He goes to heaven. Really?
Yes.
That's my and I'm not like, that's just my personal opinion, right? And
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But the thing is, Paul was killing people. Paul was burning. That's not a fantasy story. That's a real life story. Paul, who was Saul from Tarsus, literally was killing people. But he wrote 13 books of our Bible. He was killing Christians and then turned around and telling Christians how to be a Christian. That's true. We are so caught up on the actions of people that we miss the big picture. You lying to somebody is just as bad as you killing somebody. Because sin is sin in God's eyes. If he truly had a heart of repentance and he said, God, Jesus, I'm sorry for this sin that I've committed against you, man, that man is in heaven.
You seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
The end of the movie showed you a lot of information about simulation
Yeah.
seen
Where they
Cabin
keep
in the
all
Woods.
the monsters. They had them in like these glass containers underground somewhere.
Could be like that.
And we're running letting them out and using people as live simulation to see what would happen.
That's a good movie, man.
To me, I thought the movie was ass until the end, where it all put together, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because
you know that whole human zoo theory? You know that Earth is actually a zoo for other alien species and they just watch us reality show style? In that theory, are people around us actually our zookeepers? You know, like Truman Show style. Everyone around you, even the people you know in your life right now, are actually your zookeepers in the human zoo. You know, they're aliens in a skin suit or aliens that look like humans, just not human. And then when the guests start to get bored, that's when they change the whole script. You know, everything will be calm in the world for a little bit and then everything just goes to shit. We're in one of those shit times right now. Because zoos don't just watch animals, they design the whole environment. They decide how much space you get, what you eat, how you interact, what stresses you out, what keeps you calm. You know, what gets you worked up. They got to put some of that in there too, because you got to have some hectic times. You ever notice how everything important to survival is locked behind systems? It's food, it's water, it's land, shelter, all things that exist naturally. But somehow you can only access them through layers of control. I guess that's a whole topic for another day. And if this really is an enclosure, we're not looking for the exit because we don't think to look for an exit. We're just performing, like fucking zoo animals for visitors.
Out of our Midwest Bureau, a pretty bizarro coincidence in Illinois. A Titanic exhibit at a local museum, you see it, flooded on the same date that the actual ship sank back in 1912. The owner says there were storms the night before, but only that part of the museum ended up taking on water.
Truman Show.
I live outside of the city limits, but I say I do. And the worst people in the world, you know, in Beverly Hills, right? I mean, monster people. Like, they make valets cry, get my effing car. You know what I mean? Like, people jump out of windows and they walk over their bodies to get in their Porsche. It's crazy. And that happened in the building I lived in. But so these
Someone jumped out the window?
Yeah, this Hollywood producer, Steve Bing, he killed himself.
I knew Steve.
And he jumped out of the window. And
you think Steve killed himself?
I don't know.
It's a small world we're not invited in, y'all. It's a small club. Right? This is a guy a comedian, stepped over, you know, figuratively, right? Some guy jumped out of the building, they stepped over him. The guy that's interviewing him, I knew Steve, right? It's all a big club, whether they're Republican, podcasters, whether they're Democrat podcasters, whether they're, whatever. Whether, at the end of the day, they're preaching division, right? At first he was on Trump's side. Now it's looking like he's not. So he's dividing still. But they're all in the club. They're all in a club. They all have agents. I can't go on Tim Dillon's podcast. I can't go on Tucker Carlson's podcast, even if I get 1 million subscribers with 1 million views a day, right? If I get that, I'm going to have agents reach out to me, managers reach out to me, telling me, we can get you on Tucker Carlson or whatever, right? But like me being independent, I would never be able to go on his show, right? You got to know somebody that knows him to get you in that door. They're all in a club, y'all. They're not friends. They might not be friends behind closed doors, but I guarantee you Tim Dillon's manager got with Tucker Carlson's manager or agent, whatever. They didn't get on the phone together and be like, hey, you want to come on the show? Right? It don't work like that.
No, I don't know, but I did.
Steve was a great guy.
That's why everyone goes to LA.
I have no idea what happened, but
Steve was the biggest donor to the Democratic Party under Clinton.
Yeah, that's a deadly move, huh?
Well,
it's a little deadly.
And then Steve began, I know because he told me, began changing his views on things.
Oh.
And then the next thing you know, Steve Bing has committed.
Yeah.
I don't know, but a friend of mine who's very close to Steve Bing, and I was friends with Steve Bing, said, that was not, that's not what happened.
That's very
That's
possible.
your building. I know where that is.
So I used to live there, and I moved out of there because it has a dark energy. Can you imagine?
Did you really move because it had a dark energy?
Yeah. I couldn't really sleep, and friends would come over, and we'd sit in the living room of one of these apartments, and they'd go, what's this? And we're not those people. We're not like crystals people. We're not,
You sound spiritually sensitive.
Yeah, I guess I'm sensitive enough to realize it was just something. And then there was like a lot of like junkies, but beating each other up and beating up their girlfriends and stuff. And the cops would have to come all the time. Not a great building. I won't say which one it is. I don't want to be sued, but because I did trash them on the podcast and they were upset. But it was not a great building. But the same people who would walk over, and I talked to the valets. The morning after that happened, there were people going, "Oh, that's terrible." Anyway, it's the blue Porsche. Let's go. So
about these 10 scientists.
It's actually more than that. Actually, if you go back a little farther, but
We know
Tim Burchett said something very interesting in his last interview, and all I'm going to say is I was right. I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
that they were in our aeronautical defense industry, or complex, just all around the spectrum on that. And it's
with clearance, many of them high
level clearance. And you figure 10 of them, that we'll just say the 10. If there were 10 chefs across this country disappeared or died mysteriously, people would start questioning what the heck. If there were 10 used car salesmen, dealerships, 10 preachers, 10 whatever, 10 masseuses, I don't care. I think America would probably take notice. And I think they finally are taking notice, because this all fits in. And I know family members are going to say, well, they got nothing to do with the UFO, but generally they don't talk. They keep it. Most of those guys and gals are so locked down, they keep their mouth shut. Because they didn't, their nuclear secrets that they have would have already leaked out as well.
And Genie pulls more paper out of Aladdin's ear, and we get the words kuntum marda ala. Kuntum marda o ala. In English, this means you are sick or on. Let's look at the first Quran verse. It's describing how a person should be clean before prayer. Those words appear here. Now the second Quran verse. It's another verse describing in more detail how you should be clean before prayer. Phrase appears here. The next thing Genie does is take the piece of paper and wipe his behind.
When we lie, our bodies get very weak. Stick your arm out.
Yeah.
And hold it up. Don't let me push it down, okay?
Don't let me push down.
Okay, got that. Now, I want you to do that while lying. And the lie I'd like you to say is, I love to vomit.
I love to vomit.
Say it holding your arm up.
Yeah.
Say it.
I love to vomit. Why? That's so weird.
Now say I love fresh air.
I love fresh air.
I'm trying my very hard. Let's say it again.
I love fresh air.
Now say I love to vomit.
I love to vomit. Why is that? That's so strange.
This is why polygraph machines work on everybody with psychopaths.
Who's a psychopath? Yeah.
Because the body lives in reality.
Who can lie?
The body is honest. Only the mind, and only the verbal mind, can lie to us and tell us things that we can believe, even though they're not true.
Say one of the
There you go. Next time you guys are on a first date, that's a good game to play. Now we have a lot of older people. If anybody younger or single that's dating, right? There's a little test you can do to make sure the man or the woman's not a psychopath, right? Simple. Let's play a game. Let's play. You know what I mean? Be like that'd be a good little test to do on a first, second, or third date.
You should do is never eat with people you don't like.
Because your state of awareness will influence how your food is metabolized. There was a study done in Ohio State University where they were feeding rabbits diets that were extremely high in cholesterol. And they found to their amazement there was one group of rabbits that never got the high cholesterol levels. After a while, they found out that the technician who was feeding these rabbits, instead of just throwing the food at them, he would stroke them and pet them and cuddle them and kiss them and then feed them the same poisonous food. But now, as a result of that experience of happiness, they made chemicals inside their brain and the body that turned the cholesterol into a completely different metabolic pathway, making the crucial difference between life and death from what kills more people in our civilization than anything else. So it's not just the food you eat, but what your awareness, what your consciousness, and your state of emotions is at the time you're eating. It will metabolize the food into an appropriate or inappropriate metabolic
And that's
pathway.
why if you're somebody like me who's a stressful eater, you eat rather than confront whatever the problem is, you eat to ease the stress.
Well, then
it turns into something else.
Yes. See, your state of mind can convert nectar into poison and the other way around too, poison into nectar. What happens inside your body is influenced by your consciousness. So it's very important. In fact, one of the things I tell people is if you're not feeling good, skip the meal at that time.
She made the mistake of publicly criticizing the most powerful female singer of all time, but the retaliation she faced afterward remains a complete mystery. It all started during one of the most well-known shows on television, The Wendy Williams Show. In one episode, host Wendy Williams confidently claimed that Beyoncé was secretly jealous of Adele.
Guess who's jealous of Adele? Beyonce.
But Wendy Williams didn't stop there, and that was a huge mistake. She began openly criticizing the singer's appearance, pointing out the visible line between her natural hair and her ponytail. She clearly wanted to bring her down, but she went after Beyoncé, the #1 figure in female music worldwide. And just 1 month after those statements, everything changed. Live on air, the host suddenly collapsed on set. The event was so strange that celebrities in the entertainment industry quickly started talking about dementia to explain what had happened to her, but also to justify her condition after that incident. When you look into it, this diagnosis appears everywhere, almost as if people want to force that version of the story, and it starts to feel more and more like an attempt by the industry to discredit the host's voice. And today, many people believe that Wendy Williams became a target for repeatedly going after Beyoncé.
See what happens, y'all. This is what I'm saying. You want to get in that club, you better never get out of line, because that's what's going to happen. You go against the grain when you're in the club, you go against the grain before you're in the club, you're not going to get in the club. Your numbers are going to crash. You know, good luck, right? See if you can do it on your own, young man, young woman. But if you get in the club, you better follow their rules, or else that's what's going to happen on the same show where you made those statements.
Yes, there is a portal in the United States. In fact, I suspect there are multiple. But this particular portal is in a highly guarded facility that is used under the US Forest Service cover. There are men with guns who patrol it, and there are witnesses who have seen what are clearly people operating with the knowledge of the US military in civilian clothes, walking into literally a wall. These witnesses are terrified. They're not about to stick their heads up on TV, but they are happy to talk to people like me. I've spoken to people who have told me about the existence of this portal. I've been to the location. I am aware that it was the subject of extensive study by a team that was operating in the area for some considerable period of time. I'm told that there is technology that is being used to try to deaden the efficacy of the portal to stop things coming out or going through. I know it all sounds like something out of science fiction, but believe me, the United States knows a hell of a lot more about portals and interdimensional technologies than it cares to admit. And at some stage, they're going to have to tell the public the truth. Otherwise, it's all going to come rolling out in an absolutely catastrophic way. What more can I say? The portal or portals that I'm aware of, but believe me, it's an extremely sensitive, highly guarded, secret military facility. Don't try and access there. If you're speculating about where it is, you'll get killed. There is a determination by the sections of the national security state that are aware of all of this to keep it quiet, to hide it from you, the general public. I have no idea why they think they can continue to maintain such a degree of secrecy. It's going to blow up in their face. But I'm very sorry I can't tell you any more right now. I'm certainly causing mischief.
I see Joe Rogan and these other politicians talking about the addiction problems in America. But let's talk about, let's get the cat out the bag. How about the fact that the drugs in America are not being flooded in America by immigrants or poor people who can't afford to eat or can't afford to survive, but yet they're able to manufacture these amount of substances and push them all throughout America. Wake the fuck up already. You understand that everything here is trickery? They're not trying to build you up. They're trying to build you down. They're literally trying to destroy you. But through the divine God and through your internal self, you see truth, you resonate, and you transmute all the negativity to positivity. I love you all.
Teddy Rose. Now, when I saw that Rogan with Trump, behind Trump, I saw that as, you know, maybe Rogan's trying to really make a difference. I don't know. But I saw it as Trump saying, we're losing followers. Let's get Joe Rogan in here. Let's do something to get some more followers. But what he doesn't realize is, I believe Rogan's falling off, y'all. People are turning on him. Go read those comments on his videos. The people are turning on him. He doesn't have that same pull like he used to back when Trump went on there before election. Before election, Rogan was he a lot of people are turning on all these podcast dudes, not because of their politics, but just the way they talk, the things they say. The people, the everyday people, I see it, are starting to turn on him, and I think that's going to backfire on him. It's not going to help him, right? It's not going to help his ratings go up like he thinks it is. That's just how out of touch they are with the people, with the everyday people. They're just out of touch. All these elites, they're out of touch with us. We're not in the club.
Learns about the monsters that are lurking in the dark in the deep woods. And he says to himself, if anyone's going to hunt these things, it's going to be me and the boys. So what does he do? He says, these areas all need to be protected, and they need to be carefully protected and studied, and we need to keep people out so that I can go in there and I can find the goblin people. I can find the crawlers. I can find the wendigos. I can find the creatures that are lurking in these heavily wooded areas. You know what I'm saying? And that's the real reason why I created the national parks. Because he's like, oh yeah, it's so people can go out there and hunt deer or whatever. No way.
I saw the Phoenix Lights.
What?
Almost 30 years ago.
Other than the lights, were you able to see like an outline of
Definitely.
anything?
What I saw was this, a large craft with the V-shaped lights on it. And then at one point, those lights went out, and it seemed to me as if the shape of that craft changed, elongated, and got larger, like it was morphing. And at that point, it was dark. The lights went out, but it was at low altitude. A lot of people said that they saw it, and it was really high up. What I saw over Tempe was low altitude, noiseless, and almost like you could make out the shape by it blocking out light in the sky. You could just see a dark shape of it. And it went on several minutes, and it was slow moving. That same night, the military went up and dropped a bunch of flares. So why did the military go up and drop a bunch of flares, if not to provide some kind of cover story, not a cover story, but an explanation for what people were seeing?
There's a lot of evil shit going
And it
on.
worked.
I know.
When I interviewed Elizabeth Phillips, for some reason that interview is what made it click. Like that whole thing was about Camp Kanakuk, supposedly the biggest Christian camp in the world. For whatever reason, that interview made me realize, holy shit. These people are everywhere. Nothing's going to show up on a background check. They appear to be normal, hardworking, caring people, and they insert themselves wherever there's going to be kids, whether it's a PE coach, a cheerleading coach, a swim coach, a church camp, a outdoors camp, Boy Scouts. Wherever there's kids, there is a very, very high possibility there's going to be fun.
Yeah, I feel like evilness follows the kids.
All right, so
I think the same thing, male doctors that are OBGYNs or, even I'm not going to say a PE teacher or nothing like that, but let's say the coach. I remember in our high school, I think he was the softball coach. I think he might have been the softball coach. All the girls liked him. All the girls liked this coach, this teacher. He was a teacher too, right? He was the coach of the softball team. It's just weird. I always thought that was weird. These volleyball coaches for girls that are men, and it's just, to me, I think that's weird. I really do. I really think that's weird. A dude coaching a little league team, unless his son's on the team or something. To me, I think it's just weird. If you guys are doing that, I'm sorry. It's just my opinion, but I just think that's weird. Like a coach in high school is coaching the women's softball team. And for one, all the girls like you, and you're the head coach of the softball team. To me, that's weird, y'all.
Guy pointed out something pretty crazy. Check out Diddy before and after. And apparently he's saying that he doesn't have access to his certain friend that provides him with certain things. Yeah, remember this guy? Check this out.
For 2014. Don't think I'm stupid, but what's a blood boy? So when somebody parties too hard or isn't living right, they want a fresh blood in their system, right? I didn't drink, smoke weed, I didn't eat any pork, none of that. Diddy saw me and he was like, yo, I got a job for you. He was like, I want that blood. And I was like, whoa. And he drops 10 grand on the table. 10 large. Yeah. He said, I want a pint of your blood right now. So that was a one-off, or you started? No, that was the beginning. I'm a universal donor.
Oh, hell, y'all.
Y'all really believe they fighting as good as our technology is? Y'all really want to believe that we flew over Iran and Iran drove, they went and painted some fake crafts on the thing. And the world's greatest military flew over and bombed paintings on the ground. Y'all really want to believe that? Y'all want us to believe that they done killed every Iranian leader that came and filled in after the other. Y'all really believe that? But they went and captured the other one and brought him over here in a Nike sweatsuit. And he in the federal prison with 6ix9ine, talking, signing shit.
I forgot about that. I need to put that clip on.
Ukraine and Russia is at war. Afghanistan just ran America out less than 10 years ago. Made us retreat and took billions of dollars worth of high grade and high technology military equipment. We've been at war with Al Qaeda, Taliban, since Bin Laden. We fighting Syria. Nigga, we've been at war for 100 years, seems like. How much more can America stand? Because we're not at war. Israel is. Israel is. That's why Trump is being as ruthless as he can be, saying we'll wipe y'all out. That's the Israeli prime minister talking, as if he's speaking to the Palestinians. There's not a Jewish bank in Russia. There's not a Jewish bank in North Korea. There's not a Jewish bank in Iran. How you think they targeting them people? Venezuela.
Heard that.
We fucking with Venezuela by dope. And China say we got a fentanyl factory. And we getting it to the Mexicans to get it in. Until y'all pay us all our money. We ain't go after them. We pick on small countries. What we gonna do? Get that goddamn gas. Because our electric cars ain't gonna always work. Between North Korea, Russia, and China, they can send America back into the dark ages with technology. And every year or so, they shut down our internet, they shut down all the airport system, and they tell us it was a glitch or something. No, that was a cyber attack. So I don't believe America's at war. For one, you have to have Congress approval to go to war. So we hadn't had Congress approval. We're not at war. This is America falling and submitting and kneeling to the rule of Israel, Jerusalem. We're fighting their wars. We're using our military. And the world is hating us because the Jews, Israel, can do no wrong, and they do a lot of wrong. They do a lot of wrong. And so it's the reason why you see ICE, but you can't recognize ICE. These are not your redneck, cracker, racist, hateful-hearted, nigger-hating, nigger-loving white folks. About 2 years ago, when I first started, about 2 to 3 years ago, I was staying at the Hilton in Fort Lauderdale. And nigga, I seen 500-600 Israeli soldiers, but I didn't know they was Israeli soldiers. I just know they were from a foreign country, and they was very arrogant. They was mean, and I kept saying, "Man, what are y'all doing here? Man, this is America. Man, what is it?" Homie, they want to mistreat Americans because they know they rule over us.
Dark web of video game.
Apparently the world download is like 80 terabytes. I think that's what it said. 80 terabytes because it's been a world for so long. Dude, there's people that like will play it and they'll just randomly come across a base that's never been discovered and hasn't been played on for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like a gigantic base.
And it's fine if nobody but once somebody shows something of it, the base is gone.
People don't stream this.
I mean, they hate the people that play it like hate streamers.
Yeah,
because
I've seen them stream it.
So they'll just go after streamers.
Right.
I've seen them stream it, and like right when they got logged in the server, it takes them 2 seconds. Like because they've been on the server so much they can tell exactly where you are, and then like 10 people show up. Some of them might kill you, some of them might give you shit, but there's like, dude, there's whole clans following you around.
And like
so it's
people,
almost interesting just to like spawn in, be like, what's gonna happen to me?
You can't stream it because people will. You
this is like
definitely
the
can't
dark
stream
web
it.
of video games.
Withers?
It is.
This is the dark web of video games.
I swear to God.
How bad is the disappearing persons crisis in Mexico?
I don't even think words. There's like no words. Right now, the soft estimate is there's 200,000 missing Mexican nationals right now. They've been disappeared, kidnapped. In Mexico right now, 90% of those cases go unsolved, which is just insane. These poor people have literally no help, and this is right here like the number one issue with the cartel story is by them having the power to disappear people. That's how they actually hold power over these like local communities. Obviously, the extortion and everything else is other angles, but this is the number one because they go after the community's youth. Mm-hmm. The boys, particularly like every state is different. Where in Jalisco, Sinaloa, the boys that are being forced into the cartel, majority are being forced to be gunmen for the cartel. Right. But in Baja, what I found is the majority are just being forced to be drug runners. Because that's literally what all they care about. They need gunmen? Of course they need gunmen. But right now, drug smuggling in Baja, that Tijuana border, that's number one. So they need drug runners and they need drone operators. The women are getting pushed into the sex trade, and that's a whole nother dark world that the young women are being pushed into. But like even the start of this year, so like start of 2026, boom, off the bat, authorities found 32 missing people in 15 different clandestine graves just in Baja California.
First, you got Monica Reza. Monica Reza was JPL's director of the materials processing group, and she disappeared just 4 days before Casillas did. And what's weird about her is she went hiking with her friends. You know, moral of the story, don't go for long walks alone without your phone. Don't go hiking. Just don't do it. Stay home.
Just stay home.
Stay home.
Just stay home.
Watch TV. You know, waste away your life at home. Don't go hiking. But she's 30 feet behind her friend. She was a very experienced hiker. Friend was a very experienced hiker. Friend sees her, smiles. They both wave. And then the next time the friend looks back, she's not there. She's never been found. Gone. She was working on projects, Air Force research initiatives. He led the Air Force Research Laboratory and oversaw groups funding materials research relevant to JPL projects, particularly, as I said, in the early 2000s, which gives him some direct overlap, if not face-to-face, but through similar materials with a very high-level scientist like Monica. Disappeared. We don't know where she is.
So this guy... This sounds like some missing 411 UFO connection to me. Like, there's no coincidence that they go around the moon. This is happening. Trump comes out and said we're going to release the UFO files. All these things happen, especially with them hiking and they're 30 feet ahead. Look back and she's gone, never heard of again. Experienced hiker, probably hiked that trail a million times. That sounds like something they didn't hear. No rubbish. You know, when you're out there on the mountain, you hear steps, you hear bush rattlings. Your senses are up out there, right? Even when you're with a group of people, your senses are just heightened, right? When you're out in nature, so you hear these things. And if it was a person that grabbed her, they would have heard a gasp, a scream, you know, something. I think it was something like. I think these are something from not of this realm. I won't say planet, I'll say this realm.
Chimp, and he brings a birthday cake. Happy birthday, buddy. And the other chimps that are in cages.
And Joe
right
Rogan
next to
talking
him,
about chimps,
this
man. The good old
motherfucker
Joe
bring
Rogan.
me a cake? I can't believe this shit. So they figure out a way to get out, and they got out and they attacked the man and they tore him apart. They tore his face off, they tore his dick off, they tore his feet off, they bit his fingers off. It's one of the most horrific, cruel attacks you'll ever hear of, because they did it to try to take away from him the things he wants and needs. Like, chimps recognize you need your fingers in order to do things, you need your face in order to see, you need your dick in order to fuck. So that's the things they go after.
Fucking assholes.
They don't just try to kill you. They try to take away what it means to be a human. So if you try to hide your hands, they'll pull your hands away from them, open them up, and bite them off like crazy with a rage-filled look in their eye. And they don't communicate with language. So they only have this sense in their head of what's fair and what's not fair and what you've done to them. So if you do something that makes them jealous, they think immediately you've done something bad to them. They don't think that, no, I just gave my friend a cake. You made them feel bad, so it's you. You made them feel bad, so they go right after you.
There's fucking real evil in the world, and in Iraq, we're in Afghanistan, you go into these fucked up places where they've been like, I don't know, fucking raping, beheading people, fucking forever, tribal shit forever. Like there was buildings I didn't even want to fucking go in. Like you'd go and you'd be like, every fucking hair on my body just be standing up, and I'd be at the doorway and be like, I don't even want to clear this fucking building. You know what I mean? And I don't know fucking why, but I know there's fucking old evil in this world.
Evil's real.
It's fucking real.
And if you've never experienced it, you can walk around delusional, think, oh, come on.
It's real. You can feel it. Like when I'm around real evil shit, only two places I felt real evil shit in my life is Gettysburg and fucking in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah, I felt that. Like I did, because I felt evil before, and it like makes me want to throw up. It hurts my stomach.
Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, he flew 1,200 miles with the wind in his back into the inside of this planet. Not a molten core, far from it. Continental shells bigger than on the surface, seas that were equal to ours, and he took 300 photographs and brought them back, and I tried to see them, and Franklin Birch, who was at the National Archives, would not let me in. Oh, I got in the cage, but I couldn't look at anything. Caldwell found those records and read them in 1940, and he took his round-wing plane in and went right through the Earth and came out at the South Pole in a 125-mile opening there. That's one thing he did. I told you that was 1940. That was a great accomplishment of the round-wing plane at that point. We hadn't had to fight a war. We hadn't had to do anything. 1952, I hesitate to tell you. I've had 3 attempts on my life, and I don't know if I'll walk away from this meeting if I say any more. I've had the needle, I've been poisoned, and I've had people sent to kill me.
Well, you have it. Like I said, if you don't play ball with them, you're in a world of hurt. But anyways, y'all, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. You made it this far. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. What, hour and 12 banger here. Hopefully there's no copyrights and we get to put out the full hour and 12 banger for you guys. It's, you know, now that I'm posting 4 days a week, I'm liking to have my videos be a little longer, right? Before it was like between an hour and 6 minutes. Now I try to do hour 6+ since I'm only doing 4 days a week with you guys. But man, whoo, what a day. What a day. We had one of the worst nights. I don't want to say the worst nights, but a very tough night as being parents, right? So far, boys, he's been good. He's only been sick once, you know, but last night, I don't know what happened, y'all. His nose got stuffed up just out of nowhere, and he was having trouble breathing. And, you know, I was up until finally 3 o'clock, like every 30 minutes. I'd rock him, put him to sleep, lay him down, 30 minutes, he'd wake up, you know, so finally at 3 o'clock he fell asleep. So it's a little late, y'all. It's already 1 o'clock. I like to have my videos done by at least 10 o'clock in the morning. So, and then I came up here and put my video together, and my circuit kept tripping, and you know, I was very stressed out. I'm so glad I got to get here and get everything done with you. If you notice, my lights off there, you know, my lights off here, but I was thinking my studio lights I have in here, they use up a lot of power. So they have battery packs for them. So I'm going to buy some battery packs, and that way I don't have to have them plugged into the wall. And hopefully then I can have, you know, a little more lights on and, you know, make it look a little nicer out in my background, y'all. But, you know, did a little redesigning yesterday, moved a little bit of stuff around, spread out, put a couple shelves up. I put a shelf up, you know, and I had some video games just sitting in my closet, old school games I used to like playing, some Halo. I threw some Halo, you know, things up there, and I just want to add little things here and there. You know, it's fun. I love my background, and, you know, I want to add a little more and, you know, maybe level out a little everything's like in a straight line. I noticed that today when I came in here. I was like, I put everything on a straight line, like, add a little misdirection, right? But anyways, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. Got to get this video edited. I'm gonna go down there and check on him because I can hear him antsy down there. So I'm gonna talk to you guys on Wednesday. I'll see you guys on there. That reaction. What a day, y'all. See you guys then. Later.